welcome to part 1 of the 2-in-1 book bag free live crochet along. I am so excited for y'all to be here. Yes, we're gonna go through the first part of this live crochet along to make this adorable book bag, a bag that looks like a book, and it has pages on the side and it has lots of pockets. There's actually an opportunity to make even more pockets or add more pockets if you wish to do so. I added 3. You know, I'm not stopping you to make more. You can totally do so. I'm going to show you first a little bit on how it looks like and in more detail. You may have only seen a few pictures. You may have seen a video of me showing it off in a kind of a sped up way on a reel or a TikTok or however you want to say it. And then we're going to go through it step by step on how to crochet part 1. To remind everyone, part 1, the written instruction is available. It is in the description. There's a link right there. Then you're going to see a table of content once you click that very first link in the description. It's also pinned on in the YouTube comments. Okay, so you tap that very first link. You're going to scroll. Before, I believe, the first image or so, you're going to see a tab that says table of content. You're going to tap on that. It's going to expand and you're going to look for part 1. Okay, you're going to tap on that. It'll jump you right to part 1 to the written instructions. Okay, so what is the written instructions for part 1? We're going to work on the cover, which you see the big blue part of it. I'm going to guide you through it. We're not going to crochet the entire thing on camera, but I'm going to show you, first of all, the stitch, which is a single crochet stitch, and then I'll talk you through on how to do those little openings, you know, where the strap goes through. So I guide you through that. Then we're going to learn, or you're going to learn 2 different stitches. Hopefully you're going to learn them new and it's brand new for you. If not, it's a reminder. So we're going to work on the, which you actually can't see on here, but I'll show it to you in a second. It's the binder lines. So it makes it more look like a book. Right, so the lines on the binding, which is underneath here, you can't see it, but I'll show it to you in a second. And we're also going to work on the pages, so the white part of it that goes all the way around in order to make it into a book. So those are the 3 things we work on today, and so that's 3 different stitches, and it won't take too long. It'll may take a little bit long for you to crochet it, so be patient with it. It's okay, it'll take a bit. The cover is probably going to be the longest part for you, but once you get that done, everything else should be smooth sailing and it should be fairly quickly. Okay, so let's talk through the yarn first. So there's different types of yarn you can use. Okay, so you can see here I used 3 different colors. Okay, I used blue, white, and this, let's say, copper color, like brass color, you know, whatever you want to call that color. It has a different name, but let's see, what is the actual name of the color? It's a different yarn than the first one. It's honey color, so that's what the name of it is. So for the blue, you're going to need 2 skeins. For the white, you need 2 skeins of worsted yarn. The entire thing is worsted yarn, by the way. Okay, so make sure you check the material list if you haven't checked it yet. It also has the option to add plastic canvas and fabric to it, which I'll show you in a second how that looks like. But I do recommend using it. It makes the entire bag more sturdy. Okay, by the way, the reason I used the idea of a book is because books are very popular right now. Book talk, and everyone talks about books. So let me kind of show it to you in a little bit more up close. Okay, so I'm going to remove this image here and I'm going to pop up my camera. Ooh, I may have to zoom out a bit because that gets cut off. There we go. Well, it's not the best view because I have something on the bottom, but it's okay. At least you can see it. Okay, so let me see if I can scooch this a little bit. All right, you have some messiness happening down here. My apologies. Okay, so let's look at the bag. Okay, so this is the front cover of the bag. So if I turn this around like this, it actually looks like a bag that is a book, right? So it's a book and it has here the bindings on the side. So these are the lines I was talking about, the book binding lines. Now you don't have to add those. If you want to add, like, let's say the title of your favorite book, you could add that right here. You know, there's many different ways on how you can add it. You can add it with fabric paint, with a Cricut machine, many different ways, iron on, whatever. You can add it here if you wanted to. I left mine blank so that way you have a blank canvas. You get it, right? Play on words here, so that you can turn it into your favorite book. Okay, so I also left the front cover blank so that way you can, you know, design it for yourself. I mean, you don't have to add this part of it if you don't want to. I was thinking more of like the old leather notebooks, so that's the reason reason why I added this. Also kind of holds this in place, right? So that's the only reason I added it, but you don't have to add this part of it, okay? But you can totally like design the front here to make it look like your absolute favorite book, right? Wouldn't that be cool if you walk around with, I mean, I haven't read those yet, but like Iron Flame, what is it, Onyx Storm, or whatever you kind of like, whatever your favorite books are. Maybe even just write down Bible. Maybe you just write down crochet, right? Maybe you put some yarn balls here or something like that. Maybe a hook. Many different things you can add, right? So if you have a Cricut machine, you can totally do that very quickly and then just, you know, glue it on or iron it on. Be careful with iron on though. I highly recommend using hot glue for it and not an actual iron, because you're going to melt your yarn. So this is acrylic yarn. Acrylic yarn melts, so don't do that, okay? Don't put an iron on it. So if you use iron on, you have to glue it on, okay, in some kind of way. Okay, so let me show you. So one of the pockets is in the back here, just that you know. So I lined it up with the lines, so that way it kind of is a little bit hidden, you know, a tiny bit hidden, but not too much. It's like in the back because you can't really see it there where, and you can hide stuff in it, you know, quarters, whatever you need to hide in there. So here's the inside of it. So this is where the actual plastic canvas is with the fabric, okay? So it is like one big piece here, one big piece here, and then all the way on the bottom is one, but the fabric is continuous. So if you already seen the pattern, the written instructions, meaning if you have the PDF or you're in the crochet club, you already have seen how this was put together. I'll guide you through it in part 3. So part 3 is the assembly part of the entire thing, okay? So then we also have here a little removable pocket. It has like buttons here. Some people were asking me how big the buttons need to be. It's up to you. You can see this is really just to wrap your yarn around it, and it wraps around one of the straps. I'm not going to add it right now, but you can make this bigger or smaller. You can add lines, multiple lines. I added just one, so that I have like 2 pockets right here, but it's a removable pocket, right? So I'm going to remove it for now, and then you can see that we have the divider in here, which is also a pocket, okay? So that's how the inside looks like. The straps right here, we'll work on part 2, right? That is one continuous loop, but it's made in rows and then sewn together. You can make it longer, shorter, however you like, and it kind of goes through the holes that we're going to create today with the cover, so that way it's held together, and you can open this up wider, of course. Yes, it's kind of seems like it's in a way, but it's not really. It fits ideally multiple books, Kindle, whatever. If you feel like this is too stretchy, it shouldn't be too stretchy because it's thermo crochet. You can always make it shorter. I actually always recommend making it on a shorter side, especially if you put heavy things in here, okay? So this is the book pages that I was referring to, and I kind of left an opening here, just like regular books are when you open them up. There's always that gap on the bottom, right? So I left this open. So keep that in mind. So we're going to work on the cover, the book pages, as well as these stripes here. So that's what we're working on today. Are there any questions so far? Leave me some questions down below so that way I can answer them, because I'm unfortunately not a mind reader yet. So make sure you guys are putting your questions in the comments so I can answer them. I'm going to put my little book here, book bag behind me, so you guys can kind of see it while I teach you. And let me remind you really quickly before we get started on the crocheting part of it, that we do have giveaway prizes at the end. We have 12 winners in the end, okay? So let me guide you through really quickly how you can qualify, because some of you guys have not signed up yet, and it's free. All you have to put in is your email address and your name, and you're automatically qualified. There's no purchase necessary, okay? Just literally add your name and your email address into the sign up box. It's either a pop-up or it's a little box where you add your name and email address, okay? So very easy, okay? Just add it in there, and I'm gonna grab 3 winners for those who signed up for this live crochet along, okay? Done. Now, the next point is you have to watch these 3 live video tutorials that I'm doing. This is part 1. Then we're going to have part 2 on Friday and part 3 on Sunday. Now, each of them gets a question at the end. And you're going to have to answer that question, whether it's during the live or during the replay. You have to answer that question so you can qualify for the giveaway, okay? I'm going to pull 3 winners for those who do all 3 of them. And they're going to be winning something. You'll see in the end what, okay? So I'm going to determine the winners as well as the prices on the last day. We'll talk about that. You're also going to have the finished product at the end. Now, you don't have to do all the pockets. Whatever you considered a finished book bag, okay? If you don't want to add the closure to it, you don't have to. If you don't want to add the pockets to it, you don't have to. You design it however you like. It just needs to look like a finished book bag, and that way you qualify if you add that hashtag and you put it into the Facebook group called Crocheting with Nikki by the end of the deadline. The deadline is all mentioned in your email as well as the pattern. So the deadline is June 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's the deadline you need to use in order to, with the hashtag. So every day, whenever you finish a part, I highly recommend getting used to posting into the Facebook group with that hashtag so everyone can find you and celebrate you. And we're going to grab 3 winners from those who finish. And we're also going to have 3 winners at the very end with a big party when we celebrate finishing this amazing book bag and tell you about more surprises. And yeah, we have a lot to talk about during the big party. So you better show up for that one. Okay, are you guys good? Let me go through some questions here. So Lisa's asking how much is the PDF? The PDF depends on where you are purchasing the PDF. If it's on my website, it typically is $8, okay? If you go to Ravelry, it'll be, I believe, $10. If you go to Etsy, it's $12. So because they have additional fees, so I have to make it higher over there. If you purchase on my website, it's $8. Now, be aware that if you're in the Crochet Club, you automatically have access to it. So there's no PDF needed to be purchased, okay? Linda, I will answer that. Make sure I will answer that for you when we get to that point, okay? Once we talk about the Tunisian crochet stitch part of it, I'll talk about that, okay? Remind me if I don't answer that question later. Okay, so first, last name and email address. Yes, that's needed. Blair, you can ask your dad if you can use his address. That's totally fine. Let's see. How do you close the purse part by the binding? Rosie, I don't know which part you're talking about. I need more information. I need more information. We do have the assembly on part 3. We're not going to talk about the assembly today. Okay, so if this is a question that's more related to the assembly, I highly recommend coming back to part 3 because I will be talking about how to put it all together. Is that making sense? So if this is related to assembly, Rosie, please ask that in part 3. Otherwise, you can ask me now, but I need more information. So let's see. Salty Kitty Cat. I kind of like your name. Is that simple? That is a beginner go to crochet. Yes, you can do this with the live crochet along. Considering you have the video tutorials with it, I would consider this more of a beginner pattern. Yes, not easy beginner pattern, more like advanced beginner, because there's no color changes happening or anything, but you are having some stitches that might be new to you. So let's consider this an advanced beginner pattern. It is fairly straightforward, barely any increases or decreases. I think there's one part with decreases. The rest of it is no increase or decreases. It's more like a lot of rectangles and squares kind of thing. So it's fairly straightforward. So I do recommend saying that it's more of like an advanced beginner. Okay. So let's see. Hi, Kimberly from Florida. Thank you for doing this. I really like them, though this is the first time them sending in a chat. Totally fine. I'm glad you're here. I truly do appreciate all you do. It has helped me tremendously to advance my crochet. Kimberly, I am so proud of you. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. I truly hope that all my videos will help you advance your crochet in any kind of way. Okay? So, Donna says she's late. Girl, we haven't started yet. You're good. You're good. Oh, everyone is good. All right. Let me switch around now so we can talk about the pattern. Now, I do want to point out that I used a different color for this specific part because you really can pick any color you want, okay? I have my big piece ready to go so we can talk about it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to zoom in just a tad because I don't need you to see my lining here on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to talk about this part here first, okay? So This entire thing right here is made in single crochet. As you can see, I'm using here a green color. The original one is blue. Really, you pick whatever works best for you, okay? I will also be mentioning, as you can see, I highly recommend knowing how to block your pieces, okay? If you need a separate tutorial for that, if you've never done blocking before, check my website and type in blocking or steam blocking or acrylic blocking, and you have an entire tutorial right there on my website on how to do this, okay? But when you have curling happening like this, you need to block your work, because otherwise your finished project is not going to look clean. So you can see on my finished project, it doesn't curl around, right? The reason for that is because I blocked the pieces, okay? So if this is happening right here, you're gonna need to block it, okay? So let's talk about the pattern in more detail. I'm gonna show you a little tiny part of it, just a little fraction of it, kind of like, think of like a snippet from over here, because I need you to understand how to do this part right here, and I'll talk you through this, okay? So I'm gonna move this to the side, and let's get started on that little tiny snippets. Now, the pattern calls for 83 chains, okay? I'm going to zoom in a bit here. I'm not going to make the entire 83 chains right now. That is silly. I'm going to show you a tiny fraction of that because it really is just single crochet stitches, and I just need you to understand how to do that little gap, okay? So if you get started, I'm just going to make here a chain of 8. How about that, okay? So instead of 83, I make a chain of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So in the very first row, it's literally just starting from the second chain from the hook, and you're just going to make single crochet stitches, okay? That's all you do. So if you know and you're aware of it, that if you start from a second chain from the hook, you should have 82 stitches at the end of this row, and actually for really the entire piece besides where the little gaps are, right? So it's 82 stitches, and you start with 83 chains, okay? So let's say we just made this entire part right here, okay? So do you see, like until here, we just did this entire piece. I just need you to be aware of how I did this part right here. So there's going to be a point where it says do 6 single crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just going to do 3 right now, so that way you can see the difference. Or let me do, yeah, I'll do 3. 3 is a good number. So instead of 6, I'm going to do 3 on my little piece right now, okay? Just so you can see how this works. So you turn around, and then you're going to make your 6 stitches. I'm making 3 over here so I can show you that transition part of it, okay? So once you do 3 or 6 in your case, right, you're going to turn your work, and you're going to continue crocheting this. So I'm just going to make a few rows here just so you can see how this is getting started, okay? So let me do, yeah, I think I'm just going to do 2. That's pretty good, because you're going to stop actually on the edge right here. So what you're going to do is you're going to snip it after you did the certain amount of rows that it says, and I believe it is 6. Am I right? Yes, it's row 10 through 15. Okay, so it's 6. Okay, so then you're going to snip it like so. I like to keep mine like this, and I'll talk about that in a second why. The very first piece I'm going to keep like this, and I'm not tying it off. Okay, Rosie, I'm going to get to your question in a second. Let's see. Can you make it slightly big if you want to? Wait a minute, Cindy, is that your Cindy? Am I saying your name right? Hopefully I am. Sorry, I'm German. Okay, hopefully I'm understanding it correctly. Can you make it slightly big if you want to? Are you referring to the entire piece, or are you referring to a certain piece? If it's the entire piece, in that case, I would say you need to make everything bigger, because everything is kind of, the pattern is designed proportionately. Everything with worsted yarn with the same hook size. So if anything is bigger than what I am doing, you're going to have to make adjustments accordingly. But that has to be outside of my support, because I don't have your project in front of me. So if you're doing it a little bit bigger, then yeah. Okay, then it would be, obviously you have to make adjustments in the other pieces. Rosie says, where you left it open on a book binding, is there a lining on the bottom? You have 2 white lines. There's one at the bottom. You can't wait. You can wait until part 3. I'm jumping ahead. Okay, yeah, I can maybe mention that later one more time. Maybe that will help. Remind me at the very end, Rosie, and maybe I can kind of point it out again, and maybe that will make more sense, okay? Towards the end, when I did all 3 stitches, remind me again, okay? So Cindy says for the entire piece. So Cindy, if you're doing for the entire piece, then you have to make adjustments everywhere. The only thing I can say is if you don't want to make adjustments, you can do the entire thing, let's say in bulky yarn, and then go up in hook size and make everything in bulky yarn. And then yes, the entire thing is going to be bigger, right? So now let's come back to this part right here. So if you're first doing the first section right here, so I consider that section A, okay? What you're doing then afterwards is going to be section B, which is the center part of it. It's that longer piece, and it goes until here. This will be section C, okay? So section B here in the center of it. Let me show you what you would be doing, okay? Wait, where did my piece go? It jumped away. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I pushed it away. I was like, where's my piece? Okay, so this is point A, right? This is section A. Let's work on section B. I'm just going to show you that really quickly, okay? So section B, you would be starting one stitch over. So the pattern specifically says, and I'm going to read it out loud so you can see it, okay? You kind of visually see it of what I'm saying. I wrote, now start with the new yarn next to the stitch on the last section from the first section made in 10A. So this is 10A, right? The very first row right here that I did, 10A. You started here, you went over, and before you turned, right, this is 10A, here's the next stitch. You're going to skip that one, you start on the following stitch. Now, obviously I'm a righty, so I have to turn this, right? So you went this direction, and then you turned. So you have a skipped stitch right here. I'm going to get to your guys' questions in a second, okay? Let me finish this. So there's a skipped stitch right here, and then you're going to start over right here with section B, okay? So right here, I would be adding my stitch right here after I skipped one, okay? And then you're just going to keep going on section B, okay? So I'm just going to do this one right now. And let me do one more row. Even though section C is missing on here, my little swatch, I just want to show you how you would add this together in the end, okay? So let's say you finish section A, B, and C. You're going to have these little gaps in between, right? So here we're going to cut this off, and I'm going to show you now how to continue on the pattern. So for section B and C, you can make a slip knot like this. And then you can weave this in as you go, or you do it beforehand or after. Now you can notice that in section A, I left it open like this. I did not make a slip knot, okay? And that is only for section A. Let me remind you again. For section A, I did not make a slip knot, okay? Why? Because I'm gonna reconnect my yarn. So let me show you how I do it. The reason for that is because I want the lines to look good. Otherwise, it's gonna look off. Okay, so here we go. If you're now continuing on after you made section A, B, and C, you're going to reconnect your yarn with the yarn that is attached to section A. Okay, section A. So I'm just going to make a knot right here. And you can make any knot. I'm just going to make a regular knot. It doesn't really matter because I weave this in as I go. So now I'm reconnected to the yarn from section A. Is that making sense? You're now going to turn your work, right? And this would be row 16, okay? So you would now make in row 16 after you reconnected to yarn A, you're going to now make your stitches as normal. So one single crochet per stitch. Ignore my knot right here. I'm going to pretend that's not there. There we go. And then wherever you hit the area where that gap is, you're now going to make a chain of one. And now you connect to section B, right? So here I'm going to connect to section B, and I'm weaving in my end at the same time. So I made a chain of one here in between, right? And then you're going to continue that, and you do the same thing with section C at the end, right? So therefore you have that gap. And then you're going to repeat that exact section one more time later on, okay? So I'll talk about blocking in a second, okay? So here we go. I'm going to zoom this out again so I can point out exactly what I was doing, okay? So we just zoomed in on this little fraction. So let me remind you again of what you're doing. So you start with a chain of 83, then you turn, and then you do 82 stitches, right? One single crochet per stitch. You're going to do this for, let me look again, for 9 rows. Then in row 10 is where you start with section A, B, and C, okay? So you're going to start first with section A. You're going to make section A just like it says. It has 6 single crochet stitches. You're going to cut your yarn, and you're not going to make a slip knot because you're reattaching your yarn. Let me remind you why. Because we want this pattern to continue on. Otherwise, if you're going to start after section C on that side of it where section C is, your pattern is going to look off. Okay, it's going to look off because you're going to it's not going to look the same. So trust me when I say this, start over where section A is, where you cut your yarn. You're going to reconnect it to the yarn that you had in section A. Okay, so, and then you're just going to go over, and then let me remind you of what row 16 says. It says then 6 single crochet stitches, chain of 1. Then it's 1 single crochet per stitch for section B, which is 68 stitches. Then it's a chain of 1, and then it's 1 single crochet per stitch in the last section, which is again 6 stitches. Then you turn around and you do 1 single crochet per stitch, all the way until here. And then you're going to redo the part that you did down here exactly the same way. Okay, section A, B, and C. Is that making sense? Is that clear? Let me know if there's any questions about this. I'm not going to talk about blocking for just a second, okay? But I'll talk about blocking later because we have another piece that needs blocking. So I'll talk about blocking later, Patricia. I think Patricia's the one who has questions about blocking, right? I'll talk about blocking in a hint later. Remind me if I don't, but I'm pretty sure I will. So I want to know if there's any questions on the cover right now. Are there any questions on the cover? How long in inches are these rows? That's a great question. I have my measurement tape here. I aimed for a certain amount. So if it's a little higher or lower, it's okay. So let me see here. This section up and down is about just under 11. Just like a hint under 11. Do you see that? I mean, if I block it a little bit, it'll be 11. Okay. So I was aiming for letter size, by the way, if you look at the book in the end. So now the long way here, let me look. The long way is, I know you can't see it on camera here, so I'm going to try to move it over so you can see it, is just over 21. Let's say 21 and a half or so, okay, roughly. So 21 and a half. So it is 8 times, did I say 8? No, what did I say? 11. I said 11 times 21 and a half. Okay, so that's what I have. If it's around that, it's fine. Okay, let's see. There's a single crochet in the chain of 1. Correct. Otherwise, you're gonna lose a stitch. That's correct. Yes, it makes sense. Woohoo! I love seeing that. Yay! Everyone's saying it's clear. Love that. And Carol says a nice explanation. Woohoo! Okay, so that is the part for the cover. Now I'll talk about the curling later, and that includes the blocking, but you can see, you know, you have some curling going on. That is normal. It is normal, you guys, to have curling going on, and we're going to block that later. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so let's go into the next part of it. Okay, we're going to stick with green for a second. Where did my camera just... camera was like, wee! Okay, we're now going to work on this little piece right here, okay? This is the binding part of it. So this is the part that goes underneath those 2 lines, okay? The binding lines, okay? So, Karen, I answered your question, right? Was there another question? Let me see. Okay. Patricia, I answer your question later. So, regarding the blocking. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to zoom in. Wee! So you can see this. So this is linked crochet. Now, linked crochet is part of the Tunisian crochet family, but uses a regular crochet hook. Quick reminder in case I didn't mention it, the entire project is 4mm. Okay, regardless if it's regular crochet hook or Tunisian, it's a 4mm. So, so this is linked crochet right here. So let me talk you through on how to do this part. Okay, let me grab my green yarn. And hang on, I'm going to snip my little swatch off so we can get started on this. If my yarn is not going to make a mess here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to leave my little part here on the side so you can know how it looks like. So this is going to be, and yes, it curls. It is also a curling situation. You see that? It curls. It's normal, you guys. Okay, so we're going to make, according to the pattern, it says 16 plus 3. I wrote it there on purpose like that because you need to understand that the first 3 is part of the turning chain that connects to the linked crochet. So let's do this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And now we add 3 additional chains. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So we're now going to make linked treble crochet stitches. So remember, this is part of the Tunisian crochet family, but it uses a regular crochet hook because they're shortened, okay? It is the height of a treble crochet stitch. They are linked together. So if you're looking at it from this perspective, it's going to look like Tunisian simple stitches. Exactly what it is. But we're looking at it in this direction, and therefore it is linked treble crochet stitches. I know it's confusing. It looks the same, just, you know, turned a different way. But you'll see in a second why I say this, okay? If you've never done linked crochet before, this is your first introduction to it. No worries, it's easy peasy. The idea of linked crochet is there's no gaps between the stitches, okay? So they are linked together. So you see these are treble crochet stitches, but they are linked, and therefore there is no gap between the stitches. You actually see the linking happening here, okay? So let me show you. So you're going to have your long chain, okay? You're going to start on the second chain from the hook. You're going to go into it and you pull up a loop. That is your first yarn over for the treble, okay? Remember, there's 2 yarn overs for the treble. This is your first one. Go into the next chain, pull up a loop. That is your second yarn over for the treble crochet stitch, but they're linked, as you can tell, okay, because they're connected to that turning chain. Now, once you have that done, you have done your 2 yarn overs for the treble, but they are linked right here. Now go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. That is where you usually go in and pull up a loop for a treble crochet stitch, right? So what you have on your hook is 4 loops like you would normally have for a treble crochet stitch, right? Think it through, right? There are 4 loops on your hook for a treble crochet stitch. Now you're going to do yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Just like a normal treble crochet stitch. So you made a treble crochet stitch, but they're linked now to that turning chain. The turning chain doesn't count as a stitch. Now what you're going to do is you're going to look for these horizontal bars. Well, they're a little bit in an angle because of the way I'm holding it, but they're right here. So here's one of them, and here's the second one. So let me remind you again, normal treble crochet stitches have 2 yarn overs, right? You're going to link them here though because it's linked crochet. So you're going to go into those horizontal bars I just mentioned, go in and pull up your loop. First yarn over, go into the next one, pull up a loop, second yarn over. You got it? Now go into the next stitch right here, which is the next chain. And you're going to go into that and pull up a loop like you would normally do for a treble crochet stitch. You have your 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Is that making sense? Leave me a comment down below. If you have never done linked treble crochet stitches, you just learned how to do this. Let me know if this is making sense. Okay, you're going to look for these horizontal bars. They're actually quite easy to see. They're right there. So here's one, here's the second. Okay, so I'm going to go in here, yarn over, pull through. In here, yarn over, pull through, 2 yarn overs. Brittany, you have a good question. Okay, so let's answer Brittany's question. Am I going in the back loop? Let's see. You guys tell me, am I going in the back loop? I actually want to know if everyone is seeing what I'm doing. This is kind of my little question, test question in between. I didn't point it out, but it's pretty obvious where I'm going into. Where am I going into? Let's see if anyone paid attention. Where am I going into? Am I going into the front loop, the back loop, or the back bump? Where am I going into? Let's see if anyone paid attention to that, okay? I want to know. So I'm going to remove your question here so I can show it up. So I'm looking at my chain right here, and you can see my beautiful chain here on the bottom. This is the front loop. This is the back loop, and if you turn it around slightly, there's the back bump. I go into the back bump. Why am I doing that? because it looks prettier that way. Look at this. You have the beautiful chain here on the bottom, and if I look on the top, you also have a chain looking piece on the top. So that means the top and the bottom look identical, and therefore makes it look prettier. So if you want it to look prettier, okay, I'm emphasizing that to be silly, go into the back bump, okay? You can go in a back loop if you like, but go in a back bump. It makes it look prettier. All right, so let's finish up the stitch that I have here unfinished. Go into that back bump, okay? You have your 4 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, and 2, right? So you're literally making treble crochet stitches, but they're linked with the previous stitch. So I'm going to see if I can finish this right here while you guys tell me if you have any further questions about linked crochet. I'm going to finish my little piece. It's just a few stitches. And then we go into the last piece of today, and I'll guide you through that. And that is also super easy. That is the Tunisian crochet piece. And we'll talk about if you want to do this differently. Okay. So here we go. I'm just going to finish this. You guys have any questions whatsoever about linked treble crochet stitches? Is anything confusing for you? This is your time to ask questions. Let me remind you again why we're doing it as a live crochet along. The reason for that is you can ask questions instantly and get instant answers. As you can tell, I'm answering them immediately and I'm pointing it out. So if you enjoy this, stick around. We're going to have more fun. Okay. So live crochet alongs are, in my opinion, super duper fun. And you get instant answers to your questions. So why not? Right? So I'm just going to finish this piece right here. And yes, you have curling going on. That is normal, okay? Because you're literally just staying on one side, as you can tell. You are not turning your project. Therefore, it's curling there a little bit. And as I said, it's part of the Tunisian crochet family. So it's very normal that you have some curling going on. And all you're going to do is block it in the end. I'll talk about the blocking at the very end because we have one more piece that has curling. And then I'll talk about that. Okay, let's see if there's any questions whatsoever. I'm just checking the comments for a second. For now, I see only positive comments. I appreciate your positive comments. Okay, yes, the back bump then. First, yes, exactly. Sorry, I'm just reading really quickly here what you guys are saying. Karen is saying, I love the linked treble. It gets rid of those long spaces. Yes, it does, and it makes this look prettier. And I always use the back loop. You do use the back loop. I use the back bump. Don't get those two confused. So I don't know which one you're using, but I am using the back bump. It's different from the back loop. Okay, so I have a few more stitches here. So let me finish this up so that way we have 2 equivalent pieces because you need 2 of them in the end. And I have your 2 stitches to go, and I'll show you how I finish this piece. Now, I did not mention that part in the pattern, so this is optional, but I'm going to show you how you can finish this a little cleaner if you wish to do so. Again, this is optional. I did not write it that way. So typically, this is where you would stop, and then you would cut your yarn and leave a yarn end for all the pieces so you have something to weave in, okay? So yarn ends needs to be there, guys, okay? This should be longer, by the way, than my little snippet here because you need to be able to weave this in. So let me show you. This is optionally. I did not mention it in a pattern, but this is optionally. If you want to have a cleaner look and you want the front and back to look the same, okay? You see how there's like chains over here because we had a turning chain? If you want that same look on the other side, here's what you're going to do. You go through those back bumps, the horizontal bars, and you're just going to make a slip stitch into them, okay? If you want the front and back to look the same, go through those horizontal bars and make a slip stitch, and then here on the last one, go through that stitch, make a slip stitch, and then you make at the very end a slip knot. So therefore the front and the back look the same. Can you tell? I know it's green, it's a little hard to see, but you can see they're the same, right? So you have now the chain look all the way around. So I'm going to snip this here, and you can see the curling happening. This is completely normal. So here's my little slip knot. Slip knot. There we go. And now you have 2 identical pieces right there. Okay, so this is how they look like. So this is the linked crochet part of it. So let me see. Kelly says, I do not have Tunisian crochet hooks. Will I need them? If you want the same look as me, Yes, you do. However, there is an option where you may not need it, and I'm going to show it to you, okay? So there's an option, but it only means if you have a hook like that. So I'm going to tell you about two solutions for this part, okay? So I'm going to move this to the side. So let's talk about this for a second. Okay, was there someone else who had need help here? Hang on a second. I need to check for a second. Sarah says, on a chain only is the back bump used. When you say chain only, oh, are you, wait, Sarah, I'm trying to figure out which chain you're talking about. Are you talking about any chain? I use the back bump at all times, to be clear. Or are you talking about the chain in that cover piece, like in this one right here? Are you talking about here, or you are talking about in general? In general, I always use the back bump. For this one, it doesn't matter. So wherever you want to go into, it doesn't matter. Really, you can't see it in the end. So I hope that answers your question, Sarah. I'm going to go back to Kelly because this is related to this piece right here, okay? So, okay, so this is the Tunisian crochet piece. It's a very long one, okay? So this is the look of it, okay? So I have my Tunisian crochet hook here. There are a few different types of Tunisian crochet hooks. Let's talk about that for a second. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of hooks right here that I have. So I have here a Luke set. If you've ever seen this before, I happen to get those from Knitting Fever. Okay, so this is my Tunisian crochet hook set that I love. Let me zoom out because you can barely see it. Okay, so this is my Tunisian crochet hook set that I love. It is an interchangeable Tunisian crochet hook set. Okay, so there's a little pocket right here that has the cords. You don't need a cord for this. Okay, you just need a hook. Now I also have this set right here, which is not a Tunisian crochet hook set, but it has also a 4mm. So let me look, which one's the 4mm? This one is the 4mm. Okay, so if I push this out, it's a little stuck. There we go. This is not a Tunisian crochet hook. However, you could use it for this. Okay, you can use it for this project. Do you have a hook that has no indents, that has no ergonomic stuff on it? Do you have a flat hook like this? Then you can use it for this project. This is technically a regular crochet hook, but it can be used as a Tunisian crochet hook in this case. So you can tell that one of them is a Tunisian hook because you can add a cord here in the back, and one of them is, you know, solid. So if you have a hook like this, Kelly, do you have a hook that has absolutely no indents or anything? Then you can use this, okay? So and then you can use Tunisian crochet because the piece itself is not that long. And so you can do this, okay? If you don't have any of those types of hooks, just simply switch it out with regular single crochet stitches, okay? That's what I would recommend because you're going to need some kind of hook where you can add your stitches onto like this, okay? So let me see. There was a question here somewhere. Hang on. Patricia has a question. So linked treble crochet and Tunisian are the same. Can I do it for Tunisian patterns? Okay, let me say it again. So linked crochet is part of the Tunisian crochet family. So if you're looking at this piece right here, it looks exactly the same as this piece right here, okay? The difference between linked crochet and Tunisian crochet is that for linked crochet, they're shorter, but they're not all looking the same, okay? For example, the linked half double and the linked single crochet looks absolutely nothing like Tunisian crochet. That's why people always get it confused. They're like, oh, I can exchange them? No, not really, okay? Because this is still considered a treble crochet stitch, okay? It's a treble crochet stitch and they're connected with each other, and it uses a regular crochet hook. You can't just interchange them. It doesn't work that way. Now, for this is Tunisian crochet, okay? Oh, it's not Patricia, it's Patrina. My apologies. I read your name too fast. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, so for Tunisian crochet, you're going to need some kind of Tunisian crochet hook or a hook, especially for this piece right here, that is flat right here, okay? So if you have a regular hook that has no indents or anything, then you can use it for this, okay? It's a 4mm hook that I'm using. And then this is Tunisian crochet. And the difference for that is you are looking for Tunisian crochet, you're looking at it in this direction, okay? You're counting one stitch at a time. Now for linked crochet, you're looking at it in this direction. It's turned, okay? And you're looking at it in a different perspective. So again, linked crochet is part of the Tunisian crochet family. It's not exactly the same. Special linked single and linked half double look nothing like Tunisian crochet, okay, because they're much smaller. They don't look like it. So you can't really interchange them. I hope this makes sense. But let's go into the Tunisian crochet project right here, okay? So let's see. Sarah, I was answering someone else. Oh, my apologies. My apologies. I didn't realize that Sarah was answering someone else. Okay, so let's talk about this long piece right here. Okay, I'm going to zoom in. I'm debating if I should use white or not. I feel like white is hard to see. Okay, I'm just going to use green, guys, because the white is so hard to see, and that way I don't have to change my colors here. I'm going to make my piece a hint shorter, though. The original pattern, let me look, says specifically you're going to make a chain of 15, okay? I'm just going to make a chain of 5. How about that? It's a little bit smaller, okay? So here we go. Zoomed in a bit so you can see it properly, okay? Is that zoomed in too much? Yeah, I feel like you can touch my hands now. Okay, so I'm going to make a chain of 5 instead of a chain of 15, okay? So here's chain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do 6. I'm going to do a chain of 6. You're going to make a chain of 15, okay? That's how this works. Chain of 15. I'm making a chain of 6 just to demonstrate it. What you're now going to do is you're going to go, and I prefer, again, the back bump. Please go in the back bump. It's going to make it look prettier, okay? So, and it's also easier to see your stitches in the end. You're going to go into each chain starting from the second chain from the hook, and you're going to pull up a loop. Now, I do want you to point, I'm going to point something out in a second. This is another reason why this is different than linked crochet, okay? In linked crochet, you wouldn't count this one as a stitch. This is a stitch right here, okay? Let me point it out with my hook. Okay, so in Tunisian crochet, the first and last loop, those are still stitches. In linked crochet, excuse me, in Tunisian crochet. In linked crochet, that's not true. In linked crochet, that's not a stitch, okay? So here, we're counting stitches. So let me remind you again why linked crochet is different from Tunisian crochet. Here, these are individual stitches, okay? Linked crochet, it's turned, and the up and down motion is one stitch. Here, these are many stitches. In this case, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches right here. Okay, so this is Tunisian crochet. 6 stitches. Got it? Let's see. Cindy is asking, can you use a Susan Bates Afghan crochet hook? Yes. An Afghan hook is a Tunisian hook, you guys, in case you didn't know. An Afghan hook is Tunisian hook, okay? In fact, Tunisian crochet used to be called Afghan crochet. So yes, you can. If it doesn't have any indents or anything, you should be good to go. Carol saying, my yarn says worsted, but my project is much smaller than yours. That usually means you have tighter tension. How much smaller is it? How much smaller is it? First of all, did you use the wrong label? Because it happens to me all the time. I had the wrong label. Like I removed my label, put something back, and didn't realize the wrong label. Happens to me too. Okay. The other option would be that your tension is tighter than mine. Maybe go up in hook size. Okay. So if I use a 4mm hook for worsted, you might have to use a 5mm. So it could be because your tension is tighter than mine. It's completely normal, okay? Be aware of that. I'll show you my gauge in a second, so that way you can match it with yours. Sounds good? We'll talk about that in a second. Karen says, are there Tunisian hooks that are not the ones with slit type hook? I don't like the shape. Slit type hook. I don't know what you mean by slit type hook. I need more information. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what a slit type hook is. Please tell me. Patricia. Oh, we have a Patricia and a Patrina. Ooh, that's why I got your names confused. Instead of new yarn, maybe try up a hook. Oh, you're answering Carol. Never mind. Okay. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So let's go into the Tunisian crochet part of it. Okay. So these are 6 stitches right here. This one is an edge stitch and this one is an edge stitch, okay? Edge stitch, it's hard for me to say. 2 edge stitches, 1 and 2, got it? So in between, technically we have 4 stitches plus 2 edge stitches. So that's for Tunisian crochet. Let's work it up, okay? You're gonna do yarn over, pull through 1, and now you're gonna do yarn over, pull through 2. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, and 2. Okay, the next thing that's different from length crochet versus Tunisian crochet is that typically you have a chain in this direction. You probably saw me do that for length crochet. There's a chain over here you're working on. Tunisian crochet, you don't. Okay, that's the other difference between linked versus Tunisian crochet. So now let's keep going on this. Okay, so for the next row for Tunisian crochet, you already have your first stitch on your hook. You're going to go into those now vertical bars, right? We're in this direction, vertical bars. So you're going to go into them, and for each of them, you're going to pull up a loop. Okay, here's one loop, go into the next one, second loop, go into the next one, third loop, next one, fourth loop, and then here at the very end, you have the edge stitch. What you're going to do is you're going to go through 2 loops at the same time. So that way it looks pretty. Okay, do you see that? It's 2 loops. It's on that last stitch. Okay, yarn over and pull through. So because you don't have a chain going on this direction, right? So you're pulling up loops right here. So you have 2 edge stitches and then you have 4 stitches in between. Let me remind you again. So when you have a chain of 15 for Tunisian crochet, that means in the end you have 15 stitches. There is no skip stitch here or anything, okay? Because you're counting that very first loop as a stitch. So if you have 15 chains, you're going to have 15 stitches. Got it? Okay, that's for Tunisian crochet only. Now, for the very first stitch here, you're going to do yarn over and pull through 1. This is called the return pass. We just made the forward pass. Now we're doing the return pass, okay? So yarn over, pull through 1, right, for the very first one. And the rest of it is yarn over, pull through 2. 2. Whoops, I split my yarn. 2, 2, and 2. Okay, here you already have the very first stitch done, right? So now let's do this one more time together and I'll show you how to finish it once you do 25 inches, okay? So you're going to go through the very first one. It's not this one, it's that one. You already have your first stitch on your hook. So it's this one right here, this one, not that one. You're going to go through it, pull up a loop, like so, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and again, go through those vertical bars and pull up a loop, okay? So let me remind you again, if you don't have a Tunisian crochet hook, you're going to use a hook that is flat, okay, that doesn't have any bumps or anything, so that way you can add all your 15 loops on your hook. And if you don't have any of those types of hooks, just replace the entire thing with single crochet, okay? So I'll show you in a second what I mean, why you can exactly replace it, so that way you have still the same amount of measurements, okay? So once you go here in the back, it's always through 2 loops to make it look pretty, right? Then yarn over, pull through 1, and now, because you pulled up that loop, right? Now, yarn over, pull through 1, and the rest of it for the return pass is yarn over, pull through 2. 2, 2, 2, and 2, right? Remember, mine is a little swatch. You have 15 chains. Here I have 6, okay? So once you have done your entire project that's 25 inches long, once that is done, you're going to make slip stitches at the very last row. So you're going to go through every stitch, the vertical bars, and you're going to make a slip stitch. So go through every single one, and whoops, I lost my loops. Go through every single vertical bar and make a slip stitch over. Okay, that's how you finish your Tunisian crochet project at the very end, because you can see there's a difference, right? There's gaps here in between, and then once you make your slip stitch, the gaps disappear, and that makes it finished. Okay, so the very last stitch is again through 2 loops. Why do I keep losing my loop? I don't know why I'm losing my loops all the time. So slip stitch. So there we go. Okay, so here's my little swatch. Let me show you the entire big piece. This is in white, and you can see this is rolling up. Look, it rolls up like a little sushi roll. Okay, so the entire thing is gonna roll. That's normal. We'll talk about blocking in just a moment. So you're gonna measure the entire thing. Let me see if I can measure it on camera. I have no idea if I can measure it on camera. I think it's too long. My screen is a little shorter than 25. So let's see. Okay, I'm gonna attempt it. Okay, I'm gonna put it here. Let's see if I can attempt it. Okay, so here's the beginning. Gonna move it. Wee. Okay, wee. There we go. It's 25, okay? It's like I moved to the hand, so 25. That's how long you're gonna go. 25 inches. Now, the reason I say you can do the entire thing in single crochet stitches is because you're still going by measurement, okay? So if you're doing the entire thing by single crochet stitches, you're gonna make sure that it's from this direction. It's about 3.5 inches, potentially 4 if you need to be, but 3.5 is the ideal. Okay, roughly 3.5. And then in this directions, it's 25. Okay, so the long direction is 25 inches. Okay, is that making sense in terms of Tunisian crochet versus regular crochet? It doesn't matter. You have that long piece. Now let's talk about blocking for a second. Okay, Karen, I'll answer that in just a second so you know the schedule. Okay, so the entire thing needs to be blocked. All the pieces, I highly recommend blocking because otherwise this situation is happening. I mean, if you want to play, you can, but it's not going to help you, okay? So in order to block your project, I highly recommend checking out my tutorial. It's a more detailed version. I'm just going to talk you through it. The actual tutorial has it shown. So what you're going to need is some kind of blocking board, ideally. You could use your carpet and some pins, okay? That's how I started. If I didn't have a blocking board at the very beginning. You can use an ironing board too, but you need some kind of pins, okay? So what you would do is let's say you have a blocking board, you're going to put it down, you're going to put pins all the way around, you know, not on every inch, every stitch or something, but you have like stitches where you put them in, right? Definitely the corners, you want to put them on the flat edges. Then you're going to use a steamer. Or if you have an iron that has a steaming function, do never touch your crochet with it, whether it's an iron or whether it's your steamer. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. You heard me? Don't touch it. It's a big no-no. Okay? You want to hover over, no closer than an inch over to the project, and don't stay there. Move around, okay? This is for acrylic yarn, so you want to move it. Acrylic yarn is technically plastic. What happens when you put heat on plastic? It'll melt and it can even turn black. Don't touch it. You're going to hover over because that steam is going to soften up your yarn a little bit, and it makes it permanently stay the way you want to, because just like plastic, you can shape it, right? Once it's really warm and pliable, you can shape it. That's what happens for yarn too. This is plastic. Acrylic yarn is plastic. Believe it or not, it is. Okay? It's actually made from oil. That's from the ground. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to hover over after you pin your stuff down, hover over and make it warm, okay? So hot, pretty much. Don't touch it immediately. Wait a few seconds, take it off, wait a few seconds until it's kind of warm to the touch. Then you kind of just make sure that you can flatten it a little bit if you need to, and then you let it cool. You let it cool down, and when it's completely cool or room temperature, then you can take your pins off and the curling completely goes away. That's how you do it for all your projects, okay? Now, be aware, I have a separate video that shows you exactly how this works, so check that out. It's also on my YouTube channel. Just go to my YouTube channel and type in blocking, or go directly to my website. You have an in-depth tutorial for that as well. Okay, let's see. There were a few questions here. Let me go back. So basically, Shelly's saying, so basically the same length as the blue outer book part. Correct. That's correct. It's actually not exactly. It's almost. So this is 25, right? The other one is like 21.5. And for that, I mean, yes, you can make it a hint shorter. It actually might even benefit you if it's a little shorter because this is stretchy. So it can benefit you. The reason I do 25 is because it's, you know, sometimes it's easier when you stitch it. You can always, if you feel like your piece is too long, we'll talk about that during the assembly. If your piece is too long, you can rip this part of it out, okay? If you feel like 25 is too long, rip it partially out, but don't do it now. Do it during the assembly. I'll talk about during part 3 on that, okay? But for now, I'll do 25. You can adjust it when you do the assembly, okay? So Karen is asking, are you on daily? I've never seen this. Hi, Karen. We're working on a book live crochet along. This is a book bag, okay? We're working on this. We're going to be live today, right now, Okay, then on Friday again, and then on Sunday again, and then technically also Monday through next Friday, I'm also going to be live almost every day. When I just mentioned at 12 o'clock Pacific time, besides that Tuesday, it's a little bit out of the order, but all the other days that I just mentioned, it'll be at 12 o'clock Pacific time. Okay, and we're currently working on this book bag, Karen. I would love for you to join us. You want to join us? You're going to learn some stitches. You're going to make this fun pattern in the end. It's a bag that looks like a book, has a lot of pockets. You can add more pockets if you like. It's really, really fun. Okay. Was there another question? I don't recommend wet blocking. Okay, you guys, there's a difference between wet blocking and steam blocking. Wet blocking is for natural fibers, wool, acrylic, wool and cotton. Those are natural fibers. I just mentioned too. There's also, of course, alpaca, all kinds of other natural fibers. Those are done in wet blocking, okay? Wet blocking. That means you're putting it in like lukewarm water with some soap or something like that, okay? And then you're going to, after that, lay it out and let it dry, okay? The reason for that is it's because it's a natural fiber. The fibers react differently. They need some water in order to stay the way you want to, okay? This is one of the reasons that when you have a let's say a wool sweater or whatever, you want to kind of lay it out properly and pin it out and block it after you washed it, even if you bought it at a store, because otherwise you're going to have it, go in different directions. Have you ever seen like an old wool sweater and it has like pieces hanging in different directions because someone hanged it on a clothesline, and then you have like weird indents and stuff? It's because it wasn't blocked properly, but it was wet beforehand. So it literally dries the way you hang it, or it dries the way you block it. Wet blocking specifically is for natural fibers. That doesn't work on acrylic yarn. Let me ask you this. When you have plastic and you put water on it, is it going to change the shape? It's not. So wet blocking does not work on acrylic yarn. It absolutely won't do anything. Okay, it may look like in the beginning it does, but it doesn't, because acrylic yarn is plastic. Plastic needs heat in order to be malleable, in order to bend it, in order to shape it. So wet blocking is for natural fibers, and steam blocking is for human-made fibers, if you want to call it that way. Okay, so is that making sense? Is that a good understanding explanation? What's the difference between wet blocking and steam blocking? I want to make sure this makes sense. Yeah, bamboo is another one. That's a natural fiber. I just mentioned a few. There's a bunch of them out there, okay? Anything that's considered a natural fiber, those are done in wet blocking. Anything that is human-made, polyester, acrylic, or blends of them, those are all done in steam blocking. Is that making sense? Please let me know. I want to know in the comments if that is making sense, okay? I want to make sure you guys understand the difference, because otherwise you're not going to get the results that you're looking for, okay? Okay. And Ruan, hopefully I'm saying your name right. I'm so sorry I didn't mention your name. I'm trying to do my best to mention your guys' names first. I'm terrible. I have so many thoughts in my head. Karen, I appreciate you. You saying I do an excellent job. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking if I missed any other comments. Do I miss any other comments? Patrina says, yes, it makes sense. I was hoping I would be able to make all these pieces as I see. Yes, please. Let's do it. Let's see. Chrissy's saying, Karen, I feel the same about the shape. I found some on Amazon. I searched Tunisian hooks. They will show you right there. Yeah, there's plenty of hooks out there. Some of them are very affordable. For this specific project, you don't need a fancy hook. Okay. You just need a hook that is flat in all kinds of directions, right? So that way you can crochet it in Tunisian. Again, you don't have to do Tunisian. As I mentioned, you can do it otherwise. Okay, so let's remind you really quickly what we did today. We made this big project. Well, I talked you through it pretty much. Okay, so the big cover, you understand now how to do the opening pieces. We talked about linked crochet, specifically linked treble crochet, right? Where you make a chain first, right? And then you work your stitches up from there. It's linked treble crochet stitches. It looks similar to this piece, but it's not. It's done differently and it's counted differently. differently. Here you're counting the stitches on the top, okay? So there should be 15 or 16 stitches if my memory's off right now, okay? 15 or 16 stitches across, okay? So this is how you're counting this one. You would count that in rows in Tunisian crochet, right? Tunisian crochet is done differently. You don't have that initial chain that is on the side, right? Here you have that chain that's on the side you're working off. So we did 2 pieces in linked treble, and then we did Tunisian crochet. We're done with Tunisian crochet for now, okay? We have other projects for part 2 that we're working on. That's mainly single and linked crochet that we're working on for the other parts of it, okay? So we're done with these pieces right now. This is what you guys are working on right now, okay? This is for part 1. You have 2 days to work on that, today and tomorrow. If you need a little longer, that's okay, okay? In order to finish those pieces for part 1. Part 2 is coming out on Friday. If you are signed up, let me remind you again that if you sign up, you automatically qualify for the first part of the giveaway. I'm going to give you guys a question in a second. This one right here in order to qualify for that giveaway. I'll give you that question in just a second, so make sure you answer it in a moment. Don't take off yet, otherwise you can't qualify. And then once you finished it, you use, of course, the hashtag. I highly recommend you use the hashtag all time so you remember it. So whenever you finish part 1, go publish it into, post a picture into the Facebook group called Crocheting with Nikki with that hashtag right there. Do you see that hashtag right there? Use it so everyone can find you and celebrate you, okay? But I'm going to grab the winners from those who finished the project. 3 winners from that, and at the very end we have 3 more. We have 12 winners in total, okay? So make sure you sign up and do all your work. It's not that much work, I promise you, okay? So let's go through, and let me remind you again, this is what we're working on. Part 2 is coming Friday. Early release for part 2 for those who signed up is Thursday evening. So let me show you my question really quickly. Here's your question to qualify for the giveaway. Okay, the comment that you need to leave is name one of the stitches you learned today. There were 3 stitches we went through. We went through 3 stitches. I'm doing it the German way. 3 stitches, okay? Name one of the stitches that you learned today. Put that in the comment, please. And by the way, this video is available as a replay after, so no worries. And if you have additional questions, you leave them below. The live chat will pretty much still be there, but it will be disabled. So you then have to leave comments below the video in the normal comment section, okay? So that's where you're going to leave your comments, your questions that you have in case you have any. But for now, in order to qualify for the giveaway, I need you to answer this question right here, okay? Remember I showed you that giveaway part thing, right? This is one of the questions you need to answer. Name one of the stitches you learned today. Leave it in the comments so that way you qualify for the giveaway, okay? This is for you. Okay, looks like Blair mentioned earlier she bought an ebook. Yay! I'm so happy for you. I don't know which ebook you bought, but I'm so happy for you. I have 32 different ebooks in case anyone's curious. Okay, so there was a question. Was there a question? Oh no, Patrina is saying, I'm going to read it because I don't want to put this away. Patrina is saying, oh cool, thank you for the explanation about the yarn being plastic and shaping and blocking. I love learning new things. Patrina, you're in the right place to learn new things. I love to teach you even more. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, you guys all answered the question? Yay! Okay, so let me remind you of what we're doing in part 2 while you guys are still answering this. Okay, and so in part 2, we're going to work on all the other pieces that are left over, okay? We're going to do thermal crochet, which is the strap. I'm going to teach you how to do thermal single crochet stitches, okay? That piece you can do really as long as you like because some of you guys are taller and some of you guys are smaller in height, okay? It's totally fine. I'm not judging, you know, we're all the height that nature wanted us to be, okay? So it doesn't matter. But you can make that strap longer or smaller, longer or shorter, sorry. So I actually think that my initial one may have been a hint too long. Personally, I think so, because once you add things into your bag, it's going to pull it down a little bit, okay? So there's a stretch going on. Now, the thermal crochet stitch stretches only a tiny amount, but it's still stretchy, okay? So I do think maybe make it a little shorter than what I mentioned, okay? We're also going to go through single crochet again for certain pieces. There's a back pocket of it, right? I mentioned it to you. There's a back pocket that's done single, as well as the the copperish strap, this one right there. Okay, and the colors, do you see the color difference? It's so funny. It's funny what cameras do, right? This is actually like a honey copper color. So those are using single crochet stitches. And then for the pockets on the inside, the removable one and the divider are both done in linked crochet, different linked crochets. Okay, so we're going to work on those as well in part 2. Part 3 is all about the assembly. So we're going to go through all the different pieces. Where does what go? How do you put it together? Giving you all my tips and tricks, especially with the plastic canvas and the fabric. I'm going to show you how to do that. I use hot glue for that to make sure it's very easy to understand and very easy to replicate. You can use a sewing machine if you wanted to for certain parts of it, but I don't think it's necessary. I'm using hot glue for it so I can show you how to do this. Okay, was there another question? Sarah has a question. Ooh, let me remove this part so it doesn't look weird. Sarah has a question. How much is the annual member for the crochet club? We have a sale going on soon. So the regular price is $139. Okay. The $139 is the regular price, Sarah, but we have a sale coming very soon. If you want to know exactly when, you email me and I will tell you exactly when. But for now, that's considered a secret. Okay. I will only tell those who are emailing me. If you email me, I'll tell you exactly when, okay? Email me. Let's see. Was there another question? Hi, Tara. Excited to catch this. I'm making mine in black. Go for it, Tara. Are you going to put something on it? I would love to know. So you making a black book. Ooh, that was too many B's. Black book. I would love to know. Are you putting something on the cover? I heard someone say they're going to put like a skull on it or something. Ooh, that would be so cool. I can't wait. I want to know. Is anyone going to make like a cover on it? Like when I say cover, I'm talking about like an image on the cover. Are you adding a design on your book? I want to know. I would love to know because I'm so excited to see everyone's. Okay, so let's see. Was there another question? I'm just checking if there was another question somewhere. I know you guys all answered your question that you had to. I think I answered everyone's question. Fingers crossed, I did. Fingers crossed. All right. Thank you guys all for being here. I will see you guys back here for part 2 on Friday. Am I right? In the meantime, it's time to crochet. I'm going to crochet too because I have to crochet all my pieces so I can show them off. Haha. So I'm going to crochet too. And I'll see you guys then, right? Oh, there's one more question that came in. Woo! She came in last second. Claudia is saying, question on something very beginning. When you're showing how to do the holes part, you cut the yarn in part A without pulling it through and finishing the stitch and then attaching the yarn to it. Is that the question? Yes, that's what I did. Yes, let me emphasize that again. You're going to reattach your yarn to the yarn that you cut in 10A. There's a section A, B, and C, right? So you're going to reattach your yarn to section A. Okay, the yarn on section A, you're going to reattach it there. I hope that was the question. I don't see a question technically. It looks a little more like a statement, but that is what we did. Yes. I hope that answers that. And if you have any further questions, you let me know. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in part 2. Until then, bye.